So I just want to make sure for our listeners, and ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Councilman Bobby Henon here on 900 AM WURD. You're going to run the bill next week, and you say you already have the 9 votes for pass.
I do. And my intention is to run it next week.
Why is it, and some of our listeners have asked, but why is it so important to run this bill? You know, you've heard arguments from listeners, from people throughout the city that says, listen, if we have so much money, we should devote money to schools and not to even buy land for the possible use of a prison. Why still run the bill?
All right, so I've heard from some people. I haven't heard from a lot of people. What we do as a city is a lot of things at once. And one thing we do is dedicate specific revenue for our schools, which is not a part of this technical bill authorizing public property and the law department to enter into a negotiation to see if something is what we're looking for or not looking for. And the importance of moving this now is so the due diligence can start and prepare for the next administration. So the next administration has the time to take a look at all the work that's been done this year. So, I mean, it's a year of due diligence. They'll be back. No capital monies have been appropriated. That would be in the form of a resolution. And, you know, this is if we chose and authorized to build a replacement prison today, you would have a year and a half of design, community involvement, community participation. You're talking about 5 years away, which we are nowhere near even beginning to discuss if we actually are going to build a replacement prison or not. All right, but what this does is get ahead of federal lawsuits that are coming to court next year. It shows that the federal government and the federal court system has ordered 4 prisons to be built. So we're kind of preempting, the federal government and taking control of things that we have the opportunity to look at and start a discussion, not finish a discussion.
Councilman, one last question. I want to look ahead at the school district. I know the council has said that there's $100 million if you take all the bills that are going to be passed to the district. But that $30 million for the lien sales, there's no guarantee that the city's going to sell $30 million in liens. So really the thing that they can kind of hope on is $70 million. Why didn't council just give them the $100 million and not have them worry about a lien sale? Why is there not a confidence among council members about what the district's administration is telling you guys?
No, well, with the state being a little bit in major confusion, as an oxymoron that may sound at this point. I mean, there's, the state still has to do their budget, and we're hearing all kinds of things, that it may go all the way to August or September. Who knows? All right, so there's no certainty. All right, what we can commit to is a level of certainty for some general obligations for the school district until the state steps in. So I think, we would all love to give the school $200, $300, $400 million and give it its fair funding, but we're not in a position to do so. The state needs to, really seriously take a look at fair funding our schools in the city of Philadelphia, and we encourage them to do so. All right, but this city council and its leadership has continued to step up. All right, year after year, over the last 4 years, including this year, you are over $400 million above and beyond. All right, it's normal revenue generation. All right, solely and specifically dedicated for our schools and our kids. So we will make sure that the schools have its obligations, and the tax liens are on a conservative lowball effort. All right, you may be surprised that they produce a lot more money. All right, and that is the hope.
Council is holding $25 million in its own budget to deal with the issue of, I guess, to basically have a influence with the school district on the concern that some council members have about outsourcing jobs. Do you support that? I suppose as a union man, but isn't that kind of holding the district hostage?
Well, I don't know about holding the district hostage. The district has the authority to do what it wants. We don't have to agree with it, and I certainly don't agree with it. And most people in city council don't agree with outsourcing any kind of nurses or healthcare providers with our schools. I mean,
I hold the money if they could do what they want.
Privatizing. All right, or nurses. Our nurses in our schools are the first line of defense when it comes to health care of our children, and health care that our kids may not have. All right, so, we're going to encourage them not to outsource any of their and privatize their nurses. All right? I'm totally against of them circumventing any kind of collective bargaining, all right, and putting our kids at risk at all.
Thank you, Councilman Bobby Henon. Thank you very much for joining us on the floor of Council. New technology that we have to give us a little bit closer to council members. So thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure, and it's always a pleasure.